Now, I do want to say that Jim taught me something really important here. Details are not always helpful. We don't want to go shopping for pain. And if we need a detail, then fine, ask for it. But I found the details just compounded my hurt. I didn't need the full scope, but I did need a full disclosure. And be honest about what you need. Disclosed information is so much better than continuously making discoveries of what else happened. So that's step number one, to even see if repair is possible. And of course, at this step, you're going to start to see there's two types of people and how they receive this. The one type of person is, based on their reaction, they're going to be humble. They are obviously probably going to have to process a little shock of its discovery because no one likes to get caught doing something they shouldn't have done. But watching their reaction will determine so much about how this process is going to go from here. And if their reaction is that they're able to self-regulate, they are able to not immediately accuse you of being crazy or blame you or deny it when you have undeniable proof, that reaction is crucial. So if they're gentle and humble, it's going to go one direction. And if they're not, that reaction, that harsh reaction, is going to let you know this may not be likely. And I think that's important to state. So the second thing that needs to happen is they need to take responsibility for what they've done. And obviously, if it's a situation where it's a compounded situation, like if I've also done something and they've done something, then a discussion can be had about what you've each done. But it's important for the person who has betrayed not to automatically go back in history and pull proof of how you also are not so
That's
stellar.
a quid pro quo. That's a defensiveness, one of the four horsemen that Gottman found of the marital or any intimate relationship.
That's a killer of
That's one of the
relationships.
ones I bet I've seen more than anything else.
So it is okay to make the request, can we stick with this topic at hand? Can we stick with this offense at hand? It may be that we need to talk about other offenses, but for the purpose of this discussion, let's stick with this one offense. And I think that's important. So will they take responsibility for what they've done? And then will they seek to understand how this impacted you? For me, this is one of the most significant parts of repairing broken trust, because I need to know that at least you will acknowledge that this wasn't just about the act of betrayal. This is about the fact of what it's now cost me, of what it's done to me inside. And so a response that I love is, I recognize how much this has hurt you, and I recognize as a result that you're going to be hesitant to trust me. And I want to say, of course you're going to be hesitant to trust me, you know? And so when the person is that gentle and really does seek to understand how this impacted you, not just what they did, but how it affected you, is really important. And right along with that, acknowledge what this cost you, because there's a cost every time.
That's the impact piece, the cost.
Right.
Is this a $5 debt? Or is this a $5 million debt? What does it cost you? I want to add to it again, back to the person's story. Not just what does it cost you in the moment you've discovered this has gone on or I've disclosed it, but where has it impacted you? Was daddy unfaithful? Were you abused back here in childhood? Just to think in these categories versus this linear or myopic thing, well, I did this and let's keep it on me. I take all couples back through, where did this also, because we know post-traumatic stress happens a lot, discovery or disclosure, but really looking at the person's story. That's layers of impact.
I also, in the book, reveal that I went and got my brain scanned because I wanted to know not just the emotional fallout and not just the physical fallout, which there were physical ramifications for deep betrayal. There just were. And there was a lot of emotional fallout, like triggers and you know, things like that. But there was also something shifted in my brain, and I wanted to know what the cost was to me from a brain health standpoint. And it was fascinating to me as I stood with Dr. Daniel Amen, who scanned my brain. He put up a picture of a healthy brain, and then he put a picture up of my brain. And what he indicated is there were 4 anxiety centers that were lit up, whether I was at rest or whether I was active. And those 4 anxiety centers formed what he called the trauma diamond.
Yep.
And he could literally point to the cause and effect of broken trust and betrayal and the impact that this had on me. The top part of the diamond was PTSD.
Wow.
And then one of the other parts of the diamond, that anxiety center being lit up, is it made so much sense when he explained it that is where you can get you can start that process of thought spiraling. And another part of it was you misread cues from other people. You think they look shifty, and they were just like, looking up at the light above.
Sure.
And so you can when you've been hurt and betrayed and you've experienced trauma, and I mean, again, it doesn't just have to be in romantic relationships. It can be in work relationships.
That's right.
It can be in organizational relationships. It can be with family members, with friendships. There's so many friendship breakups that happen that leave people traumatized.
Yeah.
So basically, when I looked at the 4 anxiety centers and realized that this didn't just impact me and my emotions, that this had a cost to the way my brain now functions. Now, the good news is through EMDR, through Bible studies, through counseling, through intensives that I've done with you, Jim, and also intensives that I've done with you, Joel, studying the theology behind where to go from here and what beliefs I need to carry that are solid theology, that he can also see that my brain is healing.
Praise
And
God.
so it was a sobering exercise, but it was also a hope-filled exercise, that there is help for some of the damages that we could see that actually occurred in my brain. So we don't want to underestimate the cost. There is a cost to this, depending on how big the betrayal and broken trust was.